Good morning, everybody. Winding down another week here, and I appreciate you joining me now. And if you want to follow along, Acts chapter 5. We're going to look at two verses today, verses 17 and 18. Here we read these words. The high priest rose up, and all who were with him, that is, the party of the Sadducees, and filled with jealousy, they arrested the apostles and put them in the public prison. Persecution has officially arrived for the church, and it did not come from Rome. It did not come from pagans or heathens. It came from the religious people. The high priest rose up, and those were with him, the Sadducees. And so the religious leaders rise up, and it tells us why. It says because they were jealous. And the word that is used for jealousy there is actually the word that means zeal and envy. They were literally consumed with anger. All of us at times have deal with anger. These folks were they were bowling over. They were fit to be tied, and they were jealous because the apostles were still continuing to preach Jesus. So they were arrested and put in jail. We'll stop this message. We will restrain them. We'll scare them. We'll embarrass them. We'll get them out of the streets where they won't be able to go out and to preach this message any longer. God is beginning to work. God is beginning to move. The church is beginning to grow. People are beginning to follow Christ, come into this new church. And because of that, the high priests are jealous. Quite simply, they were concerned for their billfolds. Again, if people began to follow this movement and began to follow Jesus, then they wouldn't be coming to the temple. They wouldn't be putting in the offerings. They wouldn't be supporting the priestly system. And so it was as much as anything a money issue. And so they again come against them. Again, interesting. Doesn't say here that they objected to what they were teaching. Now, most likely they did to some extent, but that wasn't their issue. They weren't upset that they were teaching Jesus. According to this, doesn't say anything about them. Their preaching. They were jealous was the sole reason that is given for their persecution. They're jealous simply that God is getting glory and they're not. What a sad testimony, a sad statement regarding the condition of these religious people's hearts, that they were jealous that glory was being given to God instead of them. They were used to everybody looking up to them. They were used to everybody bragging on them, and now they're not. And so they are upset by that. And there's, I think, a valuable lesson for you and I today, for the church today, and that is that we shouldn't. Sometimes it seems to me, I've seen this over the years in my life, in my ministry, even felt it sometimes. To be honest, you preach, you study, you pray, you do everything involved in the ministry, and you try to do your very best and serve the Lord, and yet you get attacked, and you have people come against you, badmouth you, and sometimes we say we're surprised by that. We don't understand that, but again, if they would crucify Jesus, they persecuted, arrested his disciples for preaching Jesus. What do we expect? We should expect to be persecuted. I saw a social media post the other day that said if the sermon you're preaching wouldn't get you thrown out of the temple, maybe you're not preaching the right sermon. And that is a good lesson. If we don't have any objections, if we don't have any persecutions to the message that we're telling, that we're carrying out, that we're preaching, that we're teaching, that we're sharing, maybe we're not sharing the right message because they persecuted the disciples for preaching Jesus. Think about it. You have a great day. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.